Or do I feel like we ought to say, this is John Cameron's poesy, John Henning says it better. What was his line?
Ladies and gentlemen, a good evening to you. Yeah. He always had the boutonniere in his.
Of course.
Very dapper guy.
John Henning, Jack Hynes, Tom Ellis, all gentlemen who have been here at Channel 5 at one time or another since 1972. In 1972, John Henning and Jack Hynes, myself and Chet were here. You were leading the competition over at Channel 4 at the time. It took a few years to get him over here. And John did the first newscast in 1972. As I recall, it was fraught with problems because I remember John coming out of the studio, another attempt on the life of the prince.
Yeah. It was one of the craziest weekends in Boston television. You got to remember the day before, on March 18th, we were Channel 5 WHDH on Morrissey Boulevard, a CBS affiliate. 17 hours later, we were Channel 5, ABC affiliate, WCVB in Needham. Yeah. So to get your head together.
And not a small amount of emotion transferred
Absolutely.
there either.
So we all did the last 11 on HDH, went out, had a couple of drinks, and the next day we're ready to go to work. And that day a big news story broke. There was a riot at Walpole State Prison. Yeah. Mike Taibbi, it was his first story ever covered for Boston television. He had had plenty of print experience. And he's the lead. We come up, not one piece of film hit the air that night, and I could see Taibbi's face, a look of sheer terror when it brought, as I introduced him, now here's Mike, who's going to lead into his film. Wasn't there, and I just had to ask him a series of questions, and we got through it, but it was...
Only his lawn
It was, yeah, that's right. It was a train wreck, as we call it.
Things have changed a little bit. Jack Hynes started at Notre Dame with Jess Kane, who's still on the radio
Jess
here.
and I were on radio and TV back at South Bend, Indiana.
And when you were doing news here, you were doing everything.
Did news with
weather,
you for a while.
Sports. I'm saying
Tom,
here in Boston, I
John.
mean, that's right. Yeah. But here in Boston back in the 50s, right, you did it all. Commercials.
That's right. Of course,
sports.
then, Natalie, news back then was about 10 or 15 minutes at night, at 11 o'clock at night. And the lead story would be a rear-end collision on Boylston Street. And we were shooting, 16mm film and slides. There was no videotape. There were no news stars.
And racing out to the airport to pick up the AP or UPI video. Yeah, that's true. You had to wait 3 days to get the pictures. In Texas, where you started, you had to be a one-man band in a small town.
Absolutely. Nobody else. You were out there all by yourself. In fact, you even stepped on a little button to roll the film in those days, 16mm black and white. And my most embarrassing moment in television, because we also did sports in those days. Yep. I was reading a sports story about a local basketball game that was won by a guy who made 3x, the foul shots. And I'd written the story, and I tried to say he threw 3 free throws. Now you try to say that on the
I'm not going to try that.
I tried it about 5 times and never ever got it out of my mouth. I'm sitting there all by myself. What do you do now? So I finally just said, he made 3 extra points, which wasn't the right thing to say either.
I had a similar experience. W.A. Tony Bale was boiled out of prison. I said that 3 times.
I warned people about salmonella orgasms. Terrible thing.
A lot of phone calls.
We got all this new technology. You guys, we've all lived through many years of it. Are we having more? Do we do it better now? Are we having more fun? How would you sum it up? Where we've been and where we come?
I think we had a lot of fun, but the equipment's a heck of a lot. And sometimes I think the tail wags the dog. The people, I think, are better trained than they were early in the beginning because they came out of print. A lot of us did too. We started off in this. But we're doing a better job. I think we've learned from mistakes. Maybe if they keep some of us old gray heads around, maybe.
That's right.
It's going to catch on one of these days.
Better keep us around. You hear that, Mr. Copperson? Mr. Copperson's listening. It's great to have you back here. We miss you.
Thanks for having us.
We miss you. Thanks for being part of our party.